Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to take your seats this morning. We have an extensive program this morning in the U.S.-Latvia Business Forum, therefore we'd like to get started as soon as possible today. I'd like to remind you that a live broadcast of today's event is available on the LIA website, so www.lia.gov.lv, and a recording of today's events will also be available following this morning's business seminar. We'll also be live tweeting today's business forum from the Twitter account @LIAGlobal, so all of you can follow along also on Twitter. Our first speaker this morning will be His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Latvia, Mr. Valdis Dombrovskis.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have always valued the role of the United States in the region. The U.S. is our key strategic partner and ally. Continued U.S. involvement in European affairs and close transatlantic dialogue are indispensable for regional security and stability. The Latvia-U.S. relationship has been lasting for now 90 years, and it's rightly called a strategic partnership, as it encompasses a broad array of issues, including those related to global security and promotion of democratic development in the world. Our partnership has historically evolved through decades of U.S. non-recognition policy, the U.S. support to the restoration of national independence, and integration into Euro-Atlantic structures. Latvia and U.S. have always advanced ever further traditionally close dialogue on global, regional, and security policy issues. We appreciate the U.S. support in strengthening Latvia's position in the NATO integrated defense system and extending the NATO air policing mission. We value visible U.S. military presence in Baltic region. It has been continued through joint military exercises and U.S. contribution to Latvia's military infrastructure. Latvia and U.S. continue to successfully cooperate within the Northern Distribution Network framework and ISAF operation in Afghanistan, thus strengthening international security. Considering the excellent political relations between our countries, we believe that the potential of our economic cooperation is not fully realized. Since regaining independence, economic relations between Latvia and the U.S. have steadily increased, but there is still room for further improvement. Today's concerns for fiscal sustainability, search for growth, and new opportunities require Latvia and the United States to work together in order to fully exhaust the potential of economic dimension of our partnership. The U.S. in 2011 ranked as the 19th largest Latvia's trade partner. The U.S. was Latvia's 17th biggest export market and 24th biggest import partner. Altogether, our trade amounted to some $250 million. The U.S. is the 11th biggest investor in Latvia. We would like to share the share of the U.S. investments to increase, especially in manufacturing and high value-added sectors. I would like to stress our interest in to attract technology so that we can grow in a value-added chain. Good examples already exist. For instance, IT software development company Exigent Services that is the largest IT company located in Latvia. Cytec, one of the largest investors in the sector of services providers in Latvia, as well as window and door manufacturer Yaldven Incorporation. In order to enhance our business ties, Latvian government representatives has paid a number of visits to the United States. In July last year, I personally paid a visit to U.S. and we had an excellent opportunity to bring Latvian business delegation with me. I believe that this visit increased the visibility of Latvia in the U.S. and laid down a foundation for further deepening of our economic ties. Latvia has a hard-earned reputation for adhering to responsible fiscal policy, which increasingly is becoming a trend in the north of the European Union. This is not a trivia against the background of continued financial turmoil, mainly on the southern rim of the European Union. I am proud that Latvia has demonstrated remarkable leadership in implementing necessary budgetary reforms and now is ahead of the major part of Europe in creating sustainable fiscal system. Latvia, and to this matter, the entire Baltic Sea Rim continues demonstrating a solid growth with a potential for further development in conjunction with promising opportunities to doing business in the countries of the adjacent vast Euro-Asian area. Latvia continues to show progress in rebalancing economic situation and regaining competitiveness. The economy has become more competitive, more resilient to shocks. Financial and fiscal stability has been attained, state treasury has accumulated good liquidity reserves, tax revenues are above the plan. In 2011, Latvia has shown stronger growth than expected. GDP growth was 5.5%. Irrespective of the economic difficulties in certain Eurozone countries, year-on-year growth, GDP growth in the first quarter of this year was again above expectations, and it was 6.9%, thus making us the fastest growing EU economy. Improvements of Latvia's economy have been recognized by international rating agencies and organizations. Latvia's economic progress is warranting a return to investment grade in all major credit rating agencies' reports. It is our duty to continue to improve business and investment climate in Latvia, addressing the issues and concerns raised by the international business community already present in Latvia. I can assure that the government of Latvia is fully committed to continue working on the improvement of investment climate in Latvia. In August 2010, Coordination Council for Large and Strategically Important Investment Projects has been established. The Coordination Council is taking necessary steps in order to eliminate existing systemic problems that might interfere with successful implementation of large-scale investment projects. In the Doing Business 2012 ranking, Latvia has advanced by 10 positions to 21st position, and also Latvia has advanced by 6 positions in a Global Competitiveness Index. An action plan for business environment improvement is being developed with a target for Latvia to rank among top 20 countries in the World Bank Doing Business ranking, and also to advance in a Global Competitiveness Index. In order to attract investments, the National Competitiveness Report published this year has started a number of initiatives designed to improve the business and investment environment. We are considering initiative to institutionalize production of regular national competitiveness analysis. Detailed modern industrial policy and mechanisms for its implementation will be elaborated by the Ministry of Economics till the end of 2012 by preparing and submitting a policy planning document for a Cabinet of Ministers for approvals. So as you see, there are a number of initiatives we're engaged of, and during today's meeting, I think Ministry of Economy and Latvia's Investment Development Agency will be giving also more detailed accounts on what other instruments are there to promote investments, to promote trade, what are our tax policy developments, and I must say currently we are relatively unique country in European Union. We are not discussing raising taxes, we are discussing lowering taxes. We already lowered VAT by 1 percentage point as of yesterday, and we have planned in a 3 years time to decrease our personal income tax from 25 to 20%. There are additional tax incentives have been introduced for large investment projects as regards corporate investment, corporate income tax. There are availability of European Union funds to finance entrepreneurship projects. So there are a range of instruments. So I would wish you all to familiarize with the offer, what Latvia has to offer as regards business environment, as regards investment possibilities. I wish you all very successful stay here in Latvia, and I do hope that this visit will also reduce in more business contacts and more US investment in Latvia. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Prime Minister for his opening remarks. The next speaker this morning will be the Minister for Economics of the Republic of Latvia, Mr. Daniels Pavļuts. And following Mr. Pavļuts' presentation, there will be the opportunity for the audience to pose questions to both Mr. Pavļuts and the Prime Minister.
Good morning. Can you hear me? It's a bit noisy. All right. Welcome to you, and welcome to your business to Latvia. the full room, which apparently is too small for all of you, indicates that, like the gentleman from Warner Brothers said in the press briefing, that apparently Latvia is on the radar. And for that fact, I would like to thank a number of people. Well, first of all, our embassy in the United States. Thank you for doing all the work. And the U.S. ambassador to Latvia. Thank you for all your great work. I would very much like to mention the honorary consuls. We have a score of honorary consuls here, and thank you for all your pro bono work, and also your business, your businessmen, yourselves. And I think that's very important that we continue to be able to rely on the human bond that we have with the United States. As the Prime Minister clearly indicated already, the US punches far below its weight in terms of our trade relations. And it's about time we change that. And we can see, and you'll see from the presentation, that this seems to be happening. So I'm very hopeful that your interest seems to be indicated that we are going to improve the standings of the US in the investment terms, in terms of trade turnover, etc., etc. My purpose today is to talk briefly about our economic story and a little bit about our strong points, something that we can offer you, which will be continued then by Andris Ozols from the Latvian Investment Development Agency, whose job it is to actually help you come here and start your business. Now, you know the economic story. Quickly up, quickly down, and going up again, hopefully sustainably this time. Now, this is the fact. This is 5.5% last year. Now, this is the official forecast we had when we made the budget. Now, guess what? What do you think it's going to be? Well, when we asked, we would say, well, anywhere between 3 and 5%, probably 4-ish, but let's see. Certainly more than we expected at the end of the last year. Now, in the next years to come, let's see. A lot depends on how the external environment is developing, but overall, should everybody else do fine, we certainly will do fine. Clearly, we are export-led economy, so now, these days, not in the old days. So we clearly do depend on demand in other countries, in other parts of the world, but certainly, as I will indicate, our competitiveness has improved. Now, our GDP growth and its expectations clearly defy the trends in Europe. We trade with countries which are strong, the countries which grow or are at least stable. So, given our increased competitiveness relative to others, we are still growing. We have a very clear fiscal strategy compared to some other countries. We know our purpose is to be part of the Eurozone, and certainly, beyond anything else, our purpose is to be fiscally sound, responsible, and competitive. So we have done what it takes, and we continue doing what it takes to be responsible and competitive also on the macroeconomic level. Compared to the previous times, the growth bubble of 2004 to 2007, these days our trade is rather balanced. You see that we had a huge rebalancing in the external sector through the crisis. And this we really needed to do because our trade, our current account were out of sync badly. So now the growth we are seeing in the last 10 quarters, we've been growing, we see no major disbalances of any sort in our external sector and our macro. So essentially we have now found a more sustainable path for our economy. So clearly from the past, internal consumption, cheap credit, fueled boom, we are now switching to export-led growth. That is the new model, export-led, competitiveness-driven growth. So what has happened with our exports growth is this is not just the demand. This is not just that the world recovered and is buying more of what we have to offer. Really, at least part or more of our growth is actually competitiveness increases due to competitive labor costs, due to improved business environment, etc. The Prime Minister already mentioned that we are working on industrial policy. What we mean is the new industrial policy, the likes which are preached by Danny Roderick and Ricardo Hausmann from the Harvard University and others like them. So we are working to increase the value added of our economy and sectors in particular, higher productivity in all spheres of life. At the moment, our salaries are low, and our productivity is lower than in many other developed countries. So we have to do both in order to increase the living standards of our people. We also have to increase productivity. These things cannot go out of sync like that happened in the past, and we have learned a lesson. The driving role of manufacturing will be very clear. At the moment, our manufacturing stands at roughly 13% of our economy, 14%. We would like to see about 20% like it is in Germany and other more developed countries. It is about more sophisticated exports and more modern products and services. That is why we need investment. We need better sales practices, market access, capital, skills, knowledge transfer. This is why we want and we are happy to see you here. So as a social result, we will see new and more highly paid jobs. Now, at the end of the road, this is what we would like to get. But in the meantime, this is our strategy of getting there. The industrial policy is something that encompasses the entire government and a number of stakeholder groups. So this is a new approach we're taking, a multi-stakeholder engagement strategy in developing this new economic strategy for our country. FDI is growing over years, and we certainly hope that your investment in this might contribute to that growing even faster. Clearly, we need investment. The capital markets are not enough. The capital markets, maybe in some alternative capital sources, are not that developed. So FDI is clearly critical, both in terms of the financial resources and particularly the knowledge, the market access, which I already mentioned. Now, where is the FDI going? Now, here we see a lot of the legacy of the past. Not all bad, but still, you see that there's still a lot in financial intermediation, real estate, in wholesale and retail trade. These are the boom areas of the past. What we're looking at these days is expanding our competitiveness in services and in manufacturing. So tradable services in manufacturing is something we're really looking forward to. Of course, transport, storage, all of these other areas which are related. But clearly this is the new focus for our search for FDI. So you can clearly see that out of the serious incoming investment projects under consideration with which the investment agency is working, majority, the largest share, comes from the US. That is a very recent trend. We're very happy to see it, very much hoping that this is a non-linear kind of trend going sky high. So would like very much to see this as testimony to that. Some of names you would certainly see from your own market. The KPMG, Pricewaterhouse, JELD-WEN, a manufacturing success story, Exigent Services, IT success story, many others. Prime Minister mentioned we have done our homework through the crisis to improve our business environment, so we are seen as more competitive in terms of ease of doing business. We are number 21 in the world. What that means, it's Japan, Germany, Malaysia, Thailand ahead. So Germany is 19th. Well, our target is actually to overtake Germany. We still have a reasonable labor cost at reasonably high skill. Certainly we do expect that investors would come over and help us increase the competitiveness of our labor force as well at a reasonable cost. Well, clearly they will become expensive, more expensive over time, but alongside with improved productivity. Education, very educated labor force, willing to learn, willing to absorb new skills. So in that sense, I think it's a good investment in Latvia. We have good multilingual skills. We are capable of doing business to the east and to the west. And clearly we have available a lot of EU structural funds which we are willing to invest in the areas which drive investment. We are the aviation access hub in the region, clearly the most connected city, the largest city in the Baltic area, one of the largest in the Baltic Sea area, and very well connected with the rest of the world. Not only in aviation, but also in terms of ground logistics. So we are part of these larger Eurasian and east-west corridors of logistics. It is a bridge between east and west, indeed. So these days, these are the primary corridors: rail link, overland, and the sea link around. Now, obviously, this is developing, but let's see where it takes. So this railway is actually becoming interesting. Tax system. I won't talk much about tax system, but certainly the taxes, particularly capital taxes, are among the lowest in Europe. So it is interesting to do business here. In terms of labor taxation, this is something we are clearly working on. As the Prime Minister indicated, we have now set plans. It's not just our expectation. We have put in the law that we will gradually decrease our private income tax rate by 5 percentage points over a 3 years period. So that would make it very competitive compared to very many countries in the EU and beyond. It's pretty easy to pay taxes in this country. We are ranked very high in terms of ease of procedures of paying taxes. It takes only 7 payments to pay all the taxes, number 11 out of 183 countries globally. We have a number of tax incentives, the very key ones being special economic zones and free ports, corporate income tax rebate, depreciation ratios, loss carry forward, and others. But you would have to talk to our business advisory services people here, and they would tell you the extent to which various solutions are available. So I guess I will stop here and let the representative of the leader, the director of the Latvian Investment Agency, continue. Thank you very much for being here. I look forward to talking to you in detail, and I'm really happy to see the wide roster of various industries represented. I'm hopeful, and I'm looking forward to our success. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Pavlic, the Minister for Economics of Latvia. As I mentioned before, a full video recording of today's business forum will be available on the website of the Latvian Investment and Development Agency, so www.liaa.gov.lv. We now have about 20 minutes for questions, so if you'd like to pose any questions to the Minister of Economics or the Prime Minister, we have about 20 minutes before they have to depart this morning. Any questions? No questions for the Prime Minister or the Minister for Economics? Okay, question over here.
First of all, thank you all for your hard work in putting together such a terrific opportunity for us to learn about Latvian opportunities. I guess my name is Brig Perry. I'm with Cressa, which is a real estate company that's representing tenants. And honestly, my question for you is more on the tax policy side, having done tax policy in the U.S. government for quite a few years on Capitol Hill. First of all, your efforts in getting your tax rates lower and increasing corporate investment are terrific. That's one of the things we've struggled with in the United States, is how to help our tax code get modernized to encourage investment even within the U.S. And I was just curious from a point of view is which sectors, is it energy, and where is some of the driving effort coming within the country to see the development going? If you could just address it, that'd be terrific.
Okay, so thank you very much for this question. As regards main drivers of economy, I must say that they were very much industrial production and export linked. From that point of view, we had on average for the last 2 years some 10% increase in industrial production, and as it was shown already in a presentation, 30% increase in export for each year. So it was very much industrial production and export driven. And on industrial production, again, it was pretty diversified. Probably our biggest industries being food production, wood processing, chemicals and pharmacies, machineries, also relatively large ICT sector, and transit and logistics. But it was very much industrial production and exports which led country out of the crisis.
On top of that, I would like to mention that clearly we have issues remaining. We have still some unemployment, so it is very important that we can create new jobs. that can be done primarily in the existing industries of the day, or we tend to call them dominant industries, which have been already named by the Prime Minister. I would only add metals, metalwork, processing, metal production as one of those leading industries growing the fastest in the most recent months. On top of that, we are clearly working very hard to create new industries. This is where new investment, new knowledge is particularly important. This is about tech startups. This is about commercializing ideas. This is something we would encourage you to do, is to look also not only in buying things from us or investing in producing here or providing services here, but also in actually utilizing the R&D capacity we have here. So we commercialize the ideas created and bring them to the world markets also. So it is very important to have this high knowledge, knowledge-intensive part in our mix.
Prime Minister, Economics Minister, Darius Dellans, Honorary Consul for Latvia in New York. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for your presentation this morning. I'd also like to commend you and your ministers for the work you've already done in terms of steering Latvia out of its very severe recession. Quick question on your government's insights and strategy as far as the Eurozone is concerned. Could you please tell us what your game plan is to convince the Latvian population and Latvian businesses that it still makes sense to enter the Eurozone in 2014, and why this is still an important part of your business strategy?
Okay. As regards Eurozone, yes, we still stick with the plan to join Eurozone as of January 1st, 2014, for which we have to fulfill Maastricht criteria this year, which we seem to be on track. And of course, the question we are asked ever more often, okay, there is this crisis in Eurozone, do you really want to join? Is it really a good idea to join? And no wonder that also population is getting more skeptical. Say in 2009, early 2010, when we first said that we will be serious about joining Eurozone and set this target date of 2014, it sounded like a good idea. Now, of course, there are more questions asked. But there are a couple of fundamental issues why we think it's still a good idea. First of all, we see it more as a financial and economical crisis in certain Eurozone countries, and not so much as a euro crisis. If you look at the currency euro, it still seems to be reasonable stable. Of course, we know that during its lifetime, euro has been changing, say, to US dollar somewhere between $0.8 per euro to $1.4 per euro. Well, now it's somewhere at 1.25, 26, so it's still somewhere at the high end of where euro has been fluctuating vis-a-vis dollar. Second, our currency, Lats, it's anyway pegged to euro. So whatever happens to euro happens to Lats. And from this point of view, this debate seems to be more emotional. Yeah, there is crisis in Eurozone, let's not join. But then, if we are serious about this, then we should be also thinking how we should unpeg our currency from euro. Because otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Our currency is anyway pegged to euro. And of course, we see quite a few advantages in terms of reducing transaction costs for citizens and businesses. And we studied quite carefully Estonia's experience, because Estonia joined in 2011, also during the Eurozone crisis, and it still served as a positive signal about financial and economic stability in Estonia. And we would expect similar effect in Latvia. And indeed, we now see that there are countries within Eurozone which are seen as a haven countries, and there are countries which are seen as a trouble countries. So it really is that markets are also differentiating, say, between Germany and Greece. They are not saying, they're all in Eurozone, so it's all the same. So also from that point of view, we think it's a good idea to join, so we still stick with the plan, and of course we need to work, I must admit, more with the public actually to have more debate on pros and cons of joining the Eurozone, so that public is also more convinced than it is now.
Just 2 more points. The things we have to do to join the Euro: be responsible about our spending, about the level of our debt. It's good for us. I mean, basically, we do the things we should have been doing anyway. Now, the objective of that has been Euro. Well, that's fair enough. Now, should everything be all right with Euro, we'll be happy to join on the rationale that was laid out. At the same time, should something unfathomable happen, well, still, it's better for us. The end purpose is to be allied with the countries in Europe which grow, which will be competitive. We want to be with them. So that is the end purpose: having competitive economy, having competitive partners, and doing good business.
Andrei Volensky, General Dynamics, European Land Systems. Oh, can everybody hear me? Yeah, Prime Minister. My question is more concerning, you already said that you were observing what the Estonians are doing. What are your plans or your milestones to make a stronger cooperation between the Baltic countries? Are we looking at a small Baltic European Union? Do you already have any stepping stones, as in any investments that we might do here? Will they also affect the neighboring countries? Is there any cooperation already planned? Do you have any milestones for us?
Well, as regards cooperation between Baltic states, I must say that it's very intensive already, and taking number of dimensions. Some milestones could be found in what we have, those bilateral Latvian-Estonian cooperation report, and we have similar like Latvian-Lithuanian cooperation report, where we discussed what are the initiatives we'll be doing bilaterally. But economically, it's still, I would say that most of the issues are still driven by our presence in the European Union. So we are in the same internal market, so we don't have customs border, we don't have physical border, being in Schengen also. So lots of things are driven by us being in European Union and integrating in different kind of European Union projects. And on top of this, there is intensive regional cooperation. It's not only Baltic, it's also Nordic-Baltic cooperation, which we are having, and a range of specific projects. But again, from a business point of view, I think most important things to look are nevertheless those EU-related things like internal market, like Schengen, which means that there is a free movement of people, capital, goods in internal market, and not least between three Baltic states.
If I may. Well, I quite agree with the Prime Minister that there's no probably need to excessively formalize any kind of second-tier local regional alliance. I mean, if you look at what is happening, the three Baltic countries are very heavily trading with each other. The level of economic integration is very high. We are among the largest investors and trade partners for each other, really. Secondly, the regulatory framework is rather, not really completely, but quite converged. Still, there are very many similarities between the countries and the operating regimes in them. It could be greater, but then again, Riga is the largest city. Please establish more regional headquarters here, and we'll be really driven to try and converge it even further.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left before the Prime Minister and the Minister of Economics have to depart the hall this morning. Are there any final questions or comments? Back row.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Just a two-pronged question. What do you see as Latvia's main competitive advantage, and what concerns keep you up at night? What concerns keep you up at night?
Well, as regards competitive advantages, I would say in general Latvia seems to be offering good value for money. And in this sense, for example, there have been studies made of 27 EU capitals in terms of, again, value for money, and Riga is ranking number one in this ranking. It's not the cheapest capital, it's not the best, but in terms of value for money, it's providing the best ratio, so to say. And our kind of strategy now, how we try to promote our economy, our competitiveness, is to gradually move up the value-added chain in those industries which are our traditional industries, which I already mentioned. So the basic idea how we pursue our economic policy right now is to move up value-added chain in those traditional industries. As regards concerns, well, there are always concerns. Of course, one issue is what's happening in Eurozone and how it will affect Latvia, because as you saw, our economic recovery was very much export-driven, plus 30% each year for 2 years. It means that if there's serious trouble in Eurozone, it's going to affect us. Currently, it's probably not as bad as most of the trade we do still in the region. Other Baltic states, Nordics, Poland, Germany, Russia, and all those countries economically seem to be doing relatively fine. So currently, there's not so much reasons to worry, but should things in Eurozone get worse, of course it's going to affect us. And second is more like our domestic after-crisis worry, so to say, is that still we have quite high unemployment levels, and once we join the EU, and now especially during the crisis, we also have quite high levels of emigration. And that is something which is worrying us, that we are losing our people, we are losing skilled people. And again, the main issue how we see to deal with this is still economical, because fundamentally it's driven by economical factors and the fact of the free movement of labor within EU. So we need again to have economic growth, we need to have job opportunities to make sure that our people stay here in Latvia.
There's little to add in terms of competitive advantages. I would mention one more, the one which will be really familiar to the real estate people here, that it's location, location, location. We are very well placed between East and the West. We have phenomenal transit links. We have excellent potential for doing trade both ways, also south-north. And it's a wonderful place to live. According to Yale University, this is the second greenest country in the world. It's a really good place to live, to have your high-paid individuals live here and have good time apart from doing work. And in terms of what keeps us up at night, I clearly agree with the immigration issue, also the brain drain specifically, that increasingly might become an issue unless we create these well-paid high-level jobs here, and this is something we want to do. We are not and we will not be a place of cheap labor in the medium or long term.
Okay. Thank you to the Prime Minister, and thank you to the Minister of Economics for the presentations this morning, and thank you for all of your questions. Prime Minister and the Minister of Economics will now depart the hall this morning, and following their departure, we will see a presentation by the Director of the Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, Mr. Andris Ozols. So I mentioned before, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Economics had to depart this morning because they have a cabinet meeting this morning at 10 o'clock. But our next speaker is the director of the Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, Mr. Andris Ozols, and he will give a presentation entitled Latvia, an Attractive Business Destination.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our agency is responsible for business support. We are actually the only government body, and the main government body being a direct link between Latvian government and different bunch of civil servants and the private business, having also representative offices abroad. And it is rather difficult to speak after Prime Minister and Minister of Economics and to elaborate upon this. And as Minister of Economics stated, our job is really not to talk about other issues, but to concentrate on the business. But nevertheless, I will really not elaborate upon this, but to just mention a few things. City of Riga is the capital of Baltics. It is the biggest city in Baltic countries, and to reach this critical mass of high-quality labor force infrastructure is very important. And architecture, it is a nice place to live, but also not only modern buildings now erected are a feature of our city, also Jugendstil architecture. We are Art Nouveau, entered in the heritage of UNESCO list. So, and the airport on itself is a success story, where as was mentioned by Minister of Economics, 83 destinations reachable, and service provided by 17 airlines, also direct flight to New York once a week from Riga, makes us very accessible. And this also is very, very important, where shared services centers and different servicing companies, where direct reach is very important, are using this connectivity. About overall tax burden was spoken in previous presentations. I just would like not to zoom in into some particular details, just to mention that, of course, tax advantages are very important, and there are tax advantages not only in comparison with other European countries, but also regional tax advantages. I will touch it speaking about special economic zones. Actually, Latvia is the member of, I would say, in all the international organizations where we are supposed to be, not only member of European Union and NATO, also WTO and numerous other organizations, and we are not only member there, but we are also behaving like a fully fledged member. And this slide perhaps seems familiar to you, because it was exactly the same, but just with different colors on the presentation of Minister of Economics. And he has covered this with even the forecasts that we are doing even better. We will stand between 3 and 5%. Also, I would like just to repeat that we are a cosmopolitan and vibrant place, vibrant city where sidewalk pulses, and it is not only a nice place to do business in and with, but also to live here. And so this refers not only to Riga, but also to countryside, and also the cultural life is very, I would say, having nice pace and quality. We have one of the best operas in Northern Europe. So this really is Riga is the city where sidewalk pulses. And also presence of international investors is part of our everyday life, especially business life. And you see from the picture that our major investors in our country are our neighbors, Scandinavian countries, Germany as well, also United States. Here it is important to mention that, for instance, Russia is rather a little investor if you compare with Estonia or Sweden, for instance, where our dependence on our big eastern neighbor is rather in trade, energy trade, and transit and logistics, not in investment picture, not in FDI. So
Financial incentives were partly mentioned, availability of structural funds, also depreciation rate. If anybody of you will be interested in details, we will provide all the details about attractiveness of our incentives. Also special economic zones and structural funds from European Union is very important income source. And I would like to mention that foreign companies and also foreign citizens are entitled to be sole founders. They can be sole founders of the company, and support goes only to Latvian companies. Latvian companies regardless of the ownership. So which means that American companies or American private citizens can be 100% owners of Latvian company, thus benefiting from investment and support schemes. Availability of human resources was mentioned, but I would like also to mention that the motivation part, we have eager for success, motivated labor force, well-educated. What sets us apart from our maybe Baltic neighbors is also language skills. And also I would like to mention even not only foreign languages like English and German language, which is widely spoken, also Russian language knowledge is very, very important for doing international trade, for international companies using Latvia as a springboard for much greater CIS markets. So, but actually I'm, as a civil servant for business support, I'm supposed not to talk about bureaucratic obstacles, but really to talk about money. And to talk about money you can make working with our country, doing trade, or even investing in our country. As you see, we are rather remote countries, but there are numerous areas where we are very close, especially because of modern IT infrastructure. So, and if you see the geography, somebody should be in the middle. We are lucky to be between Estonia and Latvia. And as Mr. Pauluts, Minister of Economics, said, so more and more international headquarters covering all the area choose Riga because of the biggest city and also because being physically in the middle. So, but there are numerous facts which are similar to our countries. I would like to mention just a few hard facts which are easy to prove, which set us apart from our competitors and neighbors, but also competitors. First, we go plug and play. It takes only 1 day to register the company, to have all the administrative let's say positions fulfilled. It shows not maybe you do not need 1 day, you can wait a week, but it shows a very good cooperation of private sector and the state revenue service and the government, where within 1 day you can start activity. This is an excellent example that reducing red tape goes over all the systems. So, and this is just one of the, let's say, cases. Hotspot. About geographic advantages still, even though that every country claims to have unique geographic location, which is true because every country is located somewhere. Nevertheless, there are significant advantages. Baltic Sea access, also infrastructure, railway infrastructure, air infrastructure, road infrastructure, IT infrastructure, I will be touching a little bit later. So this is very important. And innovation tank, as Prime Minister was mentioning, knowledge is very important, and knowledge here locally, not knowledge for brain drain and emigration. And that is why, in a combination with investment in infrastructure and creating new jobs, this is a significant key success factor. And also raising productivity is a challenge, but wage adjusted productivity is already on a second place after Sweden in Europe. So the value for money, as Prime Minister said. So we are not as productive as Germans, but we are not also as expensive as Germans. And so if you take wage-adjusted productivity or costs per certain services, then we are on a second place in Europe, which is partly answer to the previously stated question. Europe's overachievers, it has to do with expectation of our parents to their children. Latvians are a well-educated nation. We have one of the highest university enrollment rates, the number of students per population. So 46 students per 1,000 population is one of the best figures in the world. Of course, there some adjustment needs to take place for let's say, creating new educational programs up to the market demand, and this is part of also our industrial new strategy and will be implemented within a short time. And just the last advantage, speaking about hard facts, we have 4 corner coverage, 4 special economic zones. This is a strategy. 3 of the zones are created in ports of Latvia, 3 international ports, ice-free ports, and 4th one in Rezekne is in direct proximity to Russia. Those all areas have significant tax advantages above of the already liberal tax climate in Latvia. Because of the hotspot innovation tank, Europe Solar Achievers, and Plug and Play, we have number of companies succeeding. And I would like just to mention few success stories, case studies, and explain why. So, a rather small company, Autonoms, is working in the area of electronics and metalworking. Actually, this is an electronic company which produces parts for John Deere, and it has to do with a developed security system for agriculture, working through John Deere's UK subsidiary Vapromatic. And this is again an awarded system, an example where, because of the development in the sector of educational traditions, in electronics and contract manufacturing, tool production, automotive contract manufacturing, and even shipbuilding, where Latvian companies succeed. Electronics, more than any other factor, the success of the Latvian electrical engineering and electronics industry sector is based on its long tradition and extensive skills of its employees. So as the success story, Real Sound Lab, I would like to mention Real Sound Lab, R&D and a focused company that develops technology solutions for superior quality sound engineering. And they have sold licenses for Panasonic, Kenwood, and Hitachi Home Cinema. This is a special success story because of our Latvian sportsman in automotive sector, and Latvian built Oscar. It is a competition car, has become the first range extended electric drive vehicle to complete the Dakar Rally. It is 8,400 kilometers long, grueling challenge through Argentina, Chile, and Peru. So 2 weeks rally is arguably the toughest motorsport event in the world, with less than half of the starters making it to the finish. So, and being among them, Oscar demonstrated previously really unseen capability to pass through with electric driven car, first time in the world. So, but now we come to the next slide. I will explain what it is. This is a car which you can see in the film The Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen. He is driving such a car. And at 4 o'clock there will be group photo possibility here outside on the street with this car. It is produced in Latvia, and actually such cars are sold to I will mention it. Even American rap stars, usually people do not show up, they do not want to mention that they are driving car produced in Latvia, but there are exceptions, and among them also Jay-Z, Fat Joe, and Kanye West. So if you decide that it's okay for you to make a photo with this car, then the dictator will be not here, but the car will be here at 4 o'clock. Jay-Z microphone is a world-class microphone developed in Latvia and sold all over the world. The highest quality studios are recording their soundtracks using these microphones. Lady Gaga or Madonna, for instance. This is again an example that we cannot only produce cheap, we produce high-quality products in the value-added chain. So. We could also mention that also Hollywood film industry is using very many of those. Also, I have here all the list of singers like Janet Jackson, Aerosmith, and Lord of the Rings. All the film was using microphones produced in Latvia. Okay, IT industry is industry where we are really neighbors, where the distance and being remote is not an obstacle at all. And key advantages are internationally competitive human resources, knowledge at all levels of expertise, and at reasonable costs, of course. And the also, IT infrastructure is very important to mention. The Latvian network operator Lattelecom, where the CEO is also here among you, holds the sixth position regards the lowest cost of broadband and very high quality connection. Latvia ranks fourth globally by average measure internet connection speed, according to Akamai, so Prestige International list. Also, I would like to mention Latvian company Pilda that provides language translation technologies for Microsoft, cooperates with Microsoft. Biotech company Grant Instrument, UK-based company, cooperates with Latvian company Biotech and produces a different kind of equipment for biotechnology sector. So again, this has to do with usually we do not speak very positive about our heritage from former Soviet Union, but the educational system in technology and research field was excellent. Also in generating world-class engineers, and also R&D centers for Soviet military industry were based in Latvia. So this is one part which I would like not to avoid, but to mention where we do benefit, and also businessmen do benefit in the sector. So, and for instance, in the former Soviet Union, more than 20% all the new development of new drugs was done in Latvia, in Riga. So, and again, these traditions are kept alive and developed. Fashion industry, company Lauma produces for Dior. Fashion industry and textile industry moves more and more direction east because it becomes too expensive to produce in European Union. It goes towards India or China, but it refers not to everything. There are some like lingerie products and some niche products which are very good for to be made in European Union, having a style and design where added value is much greater than technically producing this. Food industry, I know that some might wonder why the apple is already kind of gone, let's put it in that way, but Latvians have very organic food. This is just to challenge a bit you, that it is so delicious what we produce that we try to eat everything ourselves, but we do not succeed. There are possibilities for export, for dairy products, for meat, for different kind of our agricultural production according to the world standard in the highest level. And for instance, even one fact that Latvia has the highest stork population of Europe, so we have many storks. If you go to countryside, you see storks, and storks are good not only for bringing babies, but they are actually birds eating frogs, and frogs are living where flies are flying, and flies are flying where are less pesticides and less chemicals used in agriculture, and by far less. If you go through Germany, for instance, you do not see storks at all, which is in a way sign and also the attitude towards agricultural production. Maybe Latvians do part in old-fashioned way, but this is very good for the end product. It is very healthy even without being certified. So I just advertise to try Latvian food production. Coming to the end, woodworking sector. This is just a children toy. It is a wooden constructor. The example of high added value per unit, per wood, but Latvia is a country where 50% of our territory is covered with high quality wood species, with pine and spruce. And imagine territory which is bigger than Belgium or Netherlands or Switzerland or Denmark, and 50% is covered with high quality wood, and our soil is not very rich. Wood is one of our very important resources, and here the challenge was and still is to go more to the higher added value, to produce plywood, to produce furniture, even matches. So we produce more and more high quality stuff in the sector. And again, this is the challenge for new companies, and in this sector one great American company, JELD-WEN, is very active, and the choice made in favor of Latvia was using wood residues produced by other companies. Logistics here, again, because of Latvia-American relations, we have an important role in the northern distribution network, shipping goods from United States to Afghanistan. But of course, logistics has to do with all the infrastructure. As I already mentioned, road infrastructure, railway infrastructure. We have former CIS and former Soviet Union railway gauge system, the different width with Europe, which in our case is major advantage of Latvia. Ports are entered by ships where products are delivered to Kazakhstan, Ukraine, which is impossible to do it from Germany directly because railway cars have different width, and it technically needs reloading, which is expensive. Aviation was already mentioned. We do not speak only about passengers, but also about cargo traffic. The financial sector is very important, also a service-related industry and important income source for Latvia. I would like to mention also that there have been created a process, Polaris process, led by the Prime Minister. This is a strategy which helps foreign investors easier to understand our still existing some administrative I would not say bureaucracy, but demand, and led by Prime Minister himself. I think it is a very good creation where collaboration of universities, state institutions, and private sector is in the highest level and supervised by Prime Minister. And here I must quote Bill Gates: "Not the big ones will be winning and eating the small ones, but the fast are grabbing the slow ones." So, and the destiny of Latvia is to be fast, and also it is like kind of a Google government with the shortcuts, many shortcuts where Prime Minister interferes himself. So why do I show you all those examples? Actually, we challenge you that your name should be as a case study, as a success story for Latvia, and you will have also individual meetings. I really suggest that you take it with interest, and I wish you also personal satisfaction at the end of your Latvia trip. Thank you very much.